And while everyone's hopping on, I want to just do a quick introduction of these two incredible humans that we get to hear from today. So we are thrilled to hear from Marlon Greenwood today, and he has had incredible career on and off the field. He was a NFL superstar, standout linebacker. He played 8 seasons in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins, Houston Texans, and Oakland Raiders. And off the field, he's also pursued a professional boxing career. He's explored a career in music, or lots of his passion in music. And he's also really passionate about his Marlon Greenwood Foundation. And this is a nonprofit organization dedicated to mentoring and supporting at-risk youth. And I love that he actually uses his music skills to inspire and motivate at-risk youth with his reggae and dance hall vibes. That's what I learned, and I was just like, I was so impressed by that. So he's also really passionate about and he's currently serving as the president of the NFL alumni in Las Vegas, and he continues to inspire and lead by example. So welcome, Marlon. Really excited to hear about what you have to share about playing at the highest level in so many different areas of life and making a positive impact in the world. Is there anything else you want to add to your intro before I move on?
No,
Can I add to it?
good.
Can I add to it? This is April Garston here. I've been working with Marlon for a few years right now, and thank you for everything that you said about it. But I just wanted to say I have witnessed myself the impact that he has made on lives, not only just myself, but also in the community and amongst the children. Wonderful human being, and I'm so excited that he's on this call, and Dave, that you put together this opportunity. Love you two both. I just had to interject and say that. Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Do we
Thank
get to see your pretty face? You're beautiful, April. Do we get to see that or not? Are you in a place you
I
can't
am
see
in a place where you would not be able to see me right now, so sorry.
that?
Well, thank you, April. Really appreciate you jumping in there. Marlon, was there anything you wanted to add to just?
No, just as I go ahead and talk about where I'm from to playing in the NFL and all life experiences and everything. Everything is gonna come out someplace along in the story. But you did a good job of the introduction. I really thank you for that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Dave. I know most of you know Dave, but it always is worth an introduction. What he's done in his life is so amazing. He actually just got back from coaching the Oakland A's this past weekend, and he even got to work with a group of Olympians who just flew off to Paris this past week. So he is a former tennis pro. He's a Grammy Award winner. He's a hit songwriter, best-selling author, and coach of 4 MLB MVPs. Lots of acronyms there, but you know what I'm talking about. And he's also coached gold medal winning Olympians, Navy SEALs, so many pro athletes. And it's just really always fun to hear his stories. So we're here to hear from them. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to you, Dave.
Hey, well, thanks. I always love just your energy is just contagious. That positivity shines through the airways, so to speak. So, this whole series decided to do this so you get a chance to really go behind the curtain of really people have achieved a lot. But, it's so funny when we think about achievement, we think, well, yeah, well, maybe they had it all laid out for them and blah, blah, blah. That couldn't be me. My whole thing for you is to see yourself and realize that everything is possible. It's all about your mind, how you can lift yourself through, why me? How can I do this? And find that you all have special gifts if you open to them fully. And that's part of the reason I'm doing this, is taking you down a pathway to hear from others who have had a lot of success, but their path hasn't been golden the whole way. And so, we had Jay Elliott, and hopefully, you're all able to get a recording of that, who, ran Apple with Steve Jobs, and we got to see and hear things that you would never get to hear. the next time we'll be talking to Ben Zobrist, she's gonna, I mean, I'm spilling in a little bit on what Paige will be sharing. I'll stop there. You can tell them later who's coming up. But I'm so honored to have Marlon with us. I almost called him Morlon because if you see it's Morlon, and he's got a lot of funny stories, but I get to tell this one. So his mom down in Jamaica was really into Marlon Brando. So when he was born, she told the doctor, he said, "What's his name?" And she said, Marlon. Well, the doctor spelled it wrong. So when I first met Marlon, I always called him Morlon because that's how it's spelled. And then he corrected me that it's Marlon, named after Marlon Brando. And sometimes we just got to get the spelling right. Now, Paige said to put where you're from and where you're listening in from today. And so it's so cool. We see Liverpool, England, Paul, good to have you, man. And then, oh gosh, the greatest of all on video reproductions and doing all kinds of cool stuff. Ronaldo is in the Philippines. It's got to be pretty late there, Ronaldo. So I'm very impressed that you're hanging in there with us. So with all that said, Marlon, I saw your highlight film and I went, oh my gosh, unbelievable what you did. And your technique is so good. And then, but I know of what your story is, what everyone's going to get to hear and go, how the heck did you get such great technique when it wasn't something that, you'd even seen or heard of football?
Yeah.
I told you, that Ted Field, who's I'm a dear friend with, who's a major, motion pictures, some of the biggest movies he's done. And when he met you, when he was here at the house, he looked at me and just said, we got to make this movie. It's going to be such a great movie. And so, I want to say that one day I want to see that happen because not only will it be funny, and it will also be very impactful because you work so much with underprivileged kids because of where you came from. So I'm going to shut up and tell us a little bit about being down in Jamaica and then ending up being a star NFL player and now going on today to be in, the alumni president and working with kids at risk. And also one little thank you is that I would have never spoken at the Super Bowl week if you hadn't invited me. And it was a special opportunity for me to do that. So kudos. I've thanked you before, but I publicly wanted to thank you because it was a great, great event. So take it away.
Yes. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for that introduction as well. And thank you for having me here. And thank you to everybody that joined us today. I'm always very grateful for that. Since we already had the introduction already about, coming to America and going to the NFL, I want to just start from where everything began for me. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. I have 7 brothers and 4 sisters, a big family. I remember as a kid, I would walking barefoot on the ground. This is when I was about 5 years old, as long as I can remember, 4 or 5. And I was at the school called Hathaway Primary School, which is in Clarendon. But I was born in Kingston, but at the time we were living in Maitland, Clarendon, because we had moved. And I was walking to the water fountain, and I was thinking about my grandmother at the time. My father was already in America looking for a better way of life for us to send for us to come here. And I was thinking about my grandmother's old, who's gonna take care of my mother and my father when they get old. And as I was walking, that's when I heard a voice that says, "You're gonna be the one to take care of your family." Loud voice. And I'm like, and I stopped, looked around, I thought somebody was talking to me. And there was no one there. There was no announcements going on. And I was like, okay, that was so I went down and I drank the water at the water fountain and I went back to the class. This is when I was 5. And I sat down and I looked around in the class and everybody in the classroom was, kids were playing around. And I thought to myself, like, why are these kids playing around? Don't they know they have to take care of the family when they get older, right? And then that one was when it first occurred to me that maybe they didn't hear that message. And that was when my journey actually started. That was when I had that purpose now. I had that goal. That goal was to take care of my family. And because now I have direction, and I'll get into a little bit more about why it's so important to have a goal and have a direction of where you need to go in whatever you're doing. So from there, I started on the journey of doing that. I made sure that I was doing good in school. Even though I was in Jamaica, I still didn't know how I was going to accomplish this thing. I was a kid, but I knew that I had to do this. So it was constantly on my mind. When I was 11, I came to the States. My father sent for all of us. We lived in Freeport, Long Island. I was up there in New York. I remember the first time I saw snow, how excited I was. Me and my entire brothers and sisters went outside and was looking up in the sky as the snow was coming down and just enjoying it. But we only enjoyed that for 2 years because because afterwards it was really, really cold, and you know how it could get in the winters up there. But for the first couple of years, that I definitely enjoyed it. We played outside in the snow, build a snowman, have all those experiences that we had when we used to watch TV and watch in Jamaica and wonder what that was like, because we never really had snow down there. So I remember when I came to the States, I asked my father, I said, how do I become successful? And he said, become a doctor or a lawyer. And I thought to myself, like, well, I don't want to become a lawyer. I want to help people. I think I want to become a doctor. Not that lawyers don't help people as well. It's like I thought a lawyer as not really healing wounds and helping people to survive. So, and I always liked science. I was always good in science. I was on the honor roll, a high honor roll marking period because I was going to become a doctor. And so I remembered while I was on that path, I was fortunate to have a gym teacher by the name of Russ Sellen. And so he got me into wrestling. Now it's a story here where, and I'm glad I have time so I could tell you the story. He got me into wrestling. Well, in gym class, we were playing a game called King of the Mat. So King of the Mat is where you have to be on your knees, and you have to be on your knees, and everyone, he taught us all this move called a pancake. It's where you pull down on the tricep and lift up underneath the armpit. So, but you gotta kind of like set them up where you pull down, and then as soon as they resist you, you just pin them. Well, I pinned everybody in the classroom. That was in ninth grade. There were guys that were on the wrestling team, guys that wasn't big guys, small guys, and I didn't just win it once. I won it 3 times in a row. And I remember talking to Coach Sellen afterwards, and he was telling me, Morlon, you should really think about joining the wrestling team. And I remember I said to him, I said, Coach Sellen, I don't think I'm big enough to jump off the ropes, right? And he said, it's not WWF, right? And it's like classic style wrestling, because when I came from Jamaica, I was watching Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, all these big guys back when it was called WWF. Now it's WWE. And I remember just being so naive and not even knowing what it was. And I didn't go out for wrestling that year. I ended up going out for wrestling my sophomore year. And after that year, I took 4th in the county. He saw how fast I picked up wrestling. And I was so upset that I lost, that I didn't win, that I went to wrestle freestyle wrestling. And they were excited because they never had a guy that wrestled for the first time, wrestled varsity, and took 4th in the county. What an accomplishment. But to me, I was like, I'm just angry that I didn't win. And I went on to wrestle freestyle wrestling to get better. And then I ended up winning the Empire State Games at 191 pounds. And after they saw that progression, he said, you know what? He started recruiting me for football even before then, before I even won the state state championship when I qualified. He started recruiting me for football, and I didn't know he was actually recruiting me. And because I thought it was just a coincidence, he was popping up at all of my classes. Like when I would walk out of science class, he was standing there like, "Hey, Morlon, how you doing?" You know, and I was like, "Oh, Coach Fellon, wow, funny seeing funny seeing you here." You know, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I was just hanging around here, but." Hey, by the way, you think you might want to come out for football your junior year, and those conversations started to progress. Like before, he said, "You know what?" Because at the time, I didn't mention this. At the time, I played soccer. I played soccer from since as long as I can remember in Jamaica, because that's the sport in Jamaica. And football and soccer was in the same season, so it was a very difficult decision for me to make because I wasn't gonna stop playing soccer because it's just like you're talking to a guy that has played football his entire life and tell him his junior year, "Hey, you know what? Why didn't you come over here and join the soccer team?" You know, and so it's really not going to happen. So he said, "You know, Marlon, you could come over here and you can be the kicker. You know, you can be the kicker and you can still play football, but football plays during the week and soccer." And so I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what I think about that. I don't know if I'd be." He said, and then the next week he came along with like, "Marlon, you know what? You would make a really good defensive end." And I said, "Defensive end?" He was like, "Yeah, you don't have to worry about covering the flats. The linebackers got to worry about that." And I said, "Flats?" He said, "Oh, don't worry about it. You know, you just come down here." So, but finally, he said football starts 2 weeks before soccer, right? And he said, "If you like it, stay, and if you don't like it, you can go back to soccer." And that was what got me. And I remember I was like, "All right, I'll come on and try it out." Once I tried it out the first time, I was so hooked on it. I remember the first drill we played was Oklahoma drill, where you got to lay down and you get up and two you guys just run into each other. It was like an adrenaline for me, you know. So you know, we never did that in soccer, you know. So I remember that, and I remember I played defensive end, and he wants to make it simple for me, and he said, "Marlon, line up here, don't be offsides, and wherever you see the football, just go get it." That's all he told me. Like I didn't. I just had to knew where to line up. Don't be offside, and wherever you see the football, just go get it. And that's all I did. I was getting the guy with the football. Quarterback had the ball. I was sacking the quarterback. Now I didn't know that it was a sack, that it was a tackle for a loss, that was a fourth fumble. I didn't know about the plays. I was just getting the guy with the football and just doing what my coach told me, and also implementing what my father also told me about doing your best at any contest, and God would do the rest. You know, while I was there, line up here, don't be outside, and wherever you see the football, just go get it. I was doing it the very best that I can possibly do because of what my father has instilled in me about always being present and putting your best foot forward in whatever you're doing, because you're gonna have to do it anyway. So I remember I made a whole bunch of tackles, and I remember this is how much I didn't really understand or know the rules of the game or anything. So we had played in 4 games, and mind you, I am like, I don't know that I'm beating a lot. I'm getting a lot of stats and a lot of tackles. I don't know this. I'm just getting the guy with the football and just doing the job, thinking I'm helping Coach Fellon let me do Coach Fellon a favor and play on the football team that he has worked so hard for 4 weeks to get me to come out to play for. That was in my mindset, you know. I wasn't thinking about anything else. And one day he came to me and was like, "Marlon, on first down, what do you think they're gonna do?" And I'm looking at him, and he said, "Marlon, on first down, what do you think they're gonna do?" Right? And you know, coaches don't like when you don't respond. So on the third time, he was like, "Marlon, on first down," and then he called himself and like, "Oh, you don't even know what a first down is, do you?" And I'm looking at him like, "Nope." I had no idea what a first down is. Here I am playing in all these games. I played on offense. I was a punter. I was doing kickoffs. I was doing field goals, and I was playing on defense. And I didn't even know what a first down. I was just going wherever the ball was. I was there and just doing my job. Not, that's all I was doing. And I said, "What is the first down?" And he said, "I'm not going to tell you. Your job is to go home and watch Monday Night Football tonight, and then you come back and tell me." And I remember that was my first football game I watched. It was the Dallas Cowboys playing the Arizona Cardinals. And here I was trying to figure out what a first down is. And I figured it out, and I told him the next day what a first down is. And believe it or not, that me figuring out that has given me a opportunity to explain to other people what a first down is, because I had to learn it that way, because I was talking to a guy. Go ahead.
Well, I want you to keep going because it's so precious, but I just want to take a moment. I want everyone, as you're listening to this, to realize that, all right, so what seems impossible, that he doesn't even know what football is. He's from Jamaica. He hasn't even watched it, and he's out there already rising to the top. So often we stop and we hold ourselves back because, well, I don't know how to do it.
Exactly.
But if you take a step and then you take one more step and then you take one more step, all of a sudden things just open up. So I just want to take the moment of a powerful message here for everyone. And many on this call, I see you are successful in your own right. But how do you keep growing? And we're going to keep hearing how he took it all the way to be the top of a sport that not very many people can take it to the top. But he always kept taking the steps that led to a new step. And that's what Martin Luther King says about faith. Take a step on the staircase, even if you can't see the whole staircase. That's what true faith is. So I just had to throw that in. Keep going, Marlon. I'm loving the story.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And all right. So after I finished learning what a first down was, and I went back and told Coach Sellen, I continued to play to the end of the year. And I remember one time after the season ended, I had a good season. I made all county. I really didn't know what that was, but he said, "Paul, you made all county." I'm like, okay, all right, thanks. It's not like I'm blowing anything up. I just have no idea what the thing is, right? And one time he called me into his office and told me, well, was I, Morlon? I was on the phone with the head coach of Syracuse University, and he wants to offer you a full scholarship, right? And I was sitting there with a blank face because I didn't really understand. And he was like, "Morlon, this is a big deal. You should be excited," And I said, "Well, doesn't everybody get a scholarship?" Right? And he said, "No, everybody don't get a scholarship, and they don't get a scholarship to a Division 1A program after just playing 1 year of American football." And that's when I started thinking, because we weren't having those conversations at home. We were talking about getting an education, going to college. As far as you could get a scholarship playing a sport, you mean I couldn't even play here? Because I didn't know about that in Jamaica. That wasn't like a big thing, and we didn't know how big American football was. So I remember I went home and I told my parents, and they knew how big of a deal it was. And I remember when I went to my visit up in Syracuse on my unofficial visit, because you only could take your official visit during your senior. I went up there and I saw the school, I saw the campus, I saw this South Campus housing, the architecture and everything, and I was all the different the tradition and all the different players that played there before, Jim Brown, all the Ernie Davis. Don McPherson, who was the coach there, legendary coach there, and Rob Moore, wide receiver that he played for Long Island, also played for the Jets. All these different things, and you start to see it, and then it starts to sink in like, wow, this is a big deal, right? I should be excited about this, right? So Syracuse wanted me to play linebacker. I played linebacker my senior year, and after my senior year, when Syracuse started 48 consecutive games at Syracuse, I redshirted my first year because the coach. There were two senior Sam linebackers. Sam linebacker is the strong side linebacker. They just call him Sam. Yeah, Sam, Mike, and Will. Sam is the strong side. Mike is the middle linebacker. Will is the weak side linebacker, based on strength of the formation. But I don't want to get into too much football terminology here. But I played Sam linebacker. There were two senior Sam linebackers, and getting a red shirt to give you an opportunity to be able to have an extra year of eligibility to play. You do your schoolwork, and it also give you an extra year to get some extra work in, or you can have a light senior year. I elected to you know, I graduated like about 3.5, close to 3.5 years. I got all my class, the work done in that 4 years. So in the little short period of time, I just took like light classes. So my senior year, I could just focus on football and get an opportunity to get drafted. So I started after my start. I started 48 consecutive games. I was team captain my senior year. Got my degree in physical therapy. Get drafted by the Miami Dolphins in 2001. Finally, you know, I'm here now, but I was only a 3rd-round draft pick. I mean, at the time, you know,
only.
not because I was always thinking about my family. You know, my goal is to help my family, and what 3rd-round draft picks were getting that I wouldn't be able to help them. I have 7 brothers and 4 sisters. You know, so when I think about the contract, I know my signing bonus was like 400,000 after taxes. It was 278. You know, I'm new into this. I mean, I used to help out here, a few thousand here, a few thousand there, but it wasn't able to really help the way I wanted to. But I was very thankful and grateful for the opportunity to be in the NFL. I just know that it's not going to happen now. I got to continue to work, you know, so my journey was still going on. Even though I'm in there, I've still not arrived yet. You know, I still got ways to go. And I remember when you come in there as a rookie, they had a guy that was starting there before I got there, and I was doing so well, and I was getting ready to. The coach was getting ready to move me up to the first team, and then I was in pass rush and I got hurt. I hurt my midfoot severely. The arch of my foot wasn't holding. I would get my tippy toes and it wouldn't hold. It would just fall. They called it like a falling arch. And I remember they carted me off the field and they took me up to get an MRI. MRI is what to see if there's soft tissue damage within your body. In this case, it was my foot. And we were in there for 3 hours. They couldn't get an image. And the MRI doctor came on and was like, have you ever had surgery before? I said, no, I've never had surgery. That's why this guy hasn't had surgery. I said, look at my foot. Ever look like I had surgery? He said, well, because normally the reason why the MRI is not picking up is because it's detecting metal, right? So they tried again. They couldn't get an image. So they said, hey, let's go get an X-ray just to make sure that you don't have any broken bones. And I remember I went in there and they got the X-ray and they saw that I had a sewing needle in my foot, broken in 3 places. And they said, now we find out what the metal is. And, you know, I mentioned the story about walking barefoot on the ground in Jamaica. And I remember one time stepping on something, and that's where it had started. But I thought I just stepped on some type of, whether it's a thorn or something. I stepped on a thorn and it came out and my foot just hurt for a little bit. I didn't think it was a sewing needle in my foot because, you know, it kept on healing. And I've been playing all these years without it. Didn't even know it was there. And finally, it showed up on this X-ray. And so during that time, I couldn't tell what type of soft tissue damage was wrong with my foot. I was in a cast. I was on crutches. I'm watching the preseason go along away, and here I am looking at my childhood dream that I've worked so hard to accomplish, and now here I am on the bed with my foot elevated, watching, you know, the guys playing in Canton, Ohio, in the Hall of Fame game, which Miami had played at that year in 2001, and you know, it was very, very, very depressing, you know, and so I remember, when I had my foot elevated in the cast and my foot was all swollen and everything. And my father came down and I told my father, I said, yeah, I'll be all right in 2 weeks. And my father looked at it and he didn't tell me then because he didn't want to get me discouraged. But he told me later, like in my mind, I was like, that doesn't look like a 2-week heal, you know. But he didn't say it to me because he didn't want that to affect me as far as my mentality at the time, you know. So I went on, and then, you know, I ended up. They tried to bring me back for the first game. This is after a few games, No, just after a few preseason games, and then the first game tried to bring me back. I got re-injured it again, and then I kept on trying to practice on the practice squad. And then one day, I was in the locker room, and I haven't played or anything, missed the entire preseason, and then all of a sudden I hear, Morlon, coach wants to see you upstairs. I was like, what does coach want to see me for? And because normally that's not a good thing, right? If coach wants to see you upstairs, it's not good. It's normally clean out your locker, and so I went up there, and I remember I was sitting down, and then the coach was like, Morlon, we're going to start you this week. Right? That's the last thing I'm expecting him to say. He said, you were doing so good before we were getting ready to move you up to the first team. Then you got hurt, and we see that you're getting back and you're moving around a little bit better, and we would be remiss not to play you. And I remember I thanked him and everything, but in my inside I was very thankful for it. But then as I got downstairs, I started thinking, like, I'm gonna be starting this week. I haven't played in the NFL. I'm like, I like talk about nervous. People always ask about, have you ever got nervous before? Yeah, I never really got nervous before, but this game I was nervous. Like, I knew what the difference was. The difference was now when you talk about nerves. This one was nerves, and because I didn't know how I was going to do. I was still recovering from my foot, and we were playing Tom Brady, who just won the Super Bowl. And the year I'm going to start in that, and all eyes are going to be on me and everything to see how the rookie linebacker is doing from Syracuse with the sprained midfoot. See if he's But I went there. We ended up winning the game. It was I got 8 tackles during the game. And we won, and so that started my career. And that year, we won 11 games. We were 11-5, and we went to the playoffs. We lost to Baltimore, and they ended up going to the Super Bowl that year and winning the Super Bowl that year. And then I ended up starting for 4 years in Miami, and then in 2005, when I signed with Houston, I signed a $22.5 million contract with the Houston Texans. And that's when I was able to fulfill my childhood dream of helping my family. And that was a journey, and that was a relief, off my shoulder. And that's when I called my family, called my father, and I called my mother, and I told them that this is something that I wanted to do since I was 5 years old. Never told anybody about it because I didn't want anything to affect me from what someone say that you can't do it, or if someone say, yeah, you could do it. It didn't really matter because I was going to do it anyway. So that's one of the things that I want to be able to tell you guys about. When you have a goal and you have something that you want to accomplish, it's like you have to have that belief. And Dave mentioned today on our call this morning about calmness, right? That calmness is that knowingness that you are going to get this done. It's like no matter what happened, no matter what type of turmoil, and we are human beings, we're going to go through the ups and downs of things, of our emotions and our energies, but as long as we have that calmness in our mind and that knowingness that I know I'm going to accomplish this. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I am going to keep on staying on this path and keep on going until I'm able to get there and accomplish my goal. And that was a great accomplishment for me, and I was very excited. That's all I wanted to do. Like, I wasn't thinking about I want to be a Hall of Fame player, or I want to be a Pro Bowl. I was just wanted to help my family. And but I enjoy playing the game. I like to compete too. In high school, I won 5 state championships. I became my coach first state champion in 29 years at Freeport High School. And along the lines of doing your best at any contest, and God would do the rest. What my father told me. I do music. I have songs with Pitbull and Fluoride. I don't have any Grammys though, but don't have any Grammys. But I have done it with artists that's on a high level. and created some good songs, because I stuck with, doing your best in any contest and God will do the rest. Another thing is not where you start, but where you finish. If you stay consistent with it, you're going to end up becoming a champion or a master if you stay with doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Then it becomes easy, but you have to have that discipline and consistency to be able to do the thing over and over and over again. And that's where the difficult thing comes in, because most people don't have the consistency to do things over and over again. It gets boring. It takes a long time. It took me 21 years to accomplish my childhood dream. It was 21 years of from Jamaica just thinking about it all the time, how I'm going to do this. Then I got to America. I wanted to become a doctor, right? But then the path took me along the lines of playing football. But playing football, and the reason why I got a scholarship so fast, because I was studying to become a doctor, so I was on the honor roll, a high honor roll each marking period. And when Syracuse gave me a scholarship, this next question they asked my coach was, after they saw how good I was playing on the field, how's his grades? The coach was like, he's on the high honor roll each marking period. And they were like, give him a scholarship now. So you see, even though I was on the path of becoming a doctor, it was still helping me in my end goal as far as the path that it was going to take me to accomplish that goal. So my goal was to become a doctor. It happened in football, but I took that path and tried to make the best of it. Then when I got a full scholarship at Syracuse, I still got made sure, all right, I'm here to get a free education. I'm gonna also try to see if I could get drafted as well, so I went. So one more story here. I know I don't know how much time has passed, but if I want to open up for some questions, then we could get. But one more story. Coach Ed Ogeron, right? He's the coach that recruited me from Freeport. He was the head coach at LSU that won the national title with Joe Burrow was the quarterback over there at LSU. And he when he recruited me up there, and after my freshman year, because when I went there, I'm gonna talk like 40-yard dash. 40 yards that running 4.76 is decent speed. It's normally quick speed. But when you get down into the 4.6 and then the 4.5 and the 4.4 and the 4.3 and the 4.2, then it starts to get like exceptional. So I remember I ran like a 4.76 or 4.76 when I came in as a rookie. And you fast forward a year now, we were doing the pro day. Pro day is when the seniors are out there running their 40s, doing their vertical jumps. You have the NFL scouts that come in and trying to look at the different guys that are going to be the next prospects that they have a chance to draft so they can come and play for their team. And I remember when I was there, we all got a chance while they were looking at the older guys, we have a chance to showcase what we got too. But obviously, so after I ran my 40, I ran a 4.52, which is ironic because my number is 52, right? I ran a 4.52. And I remember I was walking back and the strength coach said 4.52. And then Coach Paul Pascalone, who was the head coach, said, "What did Morlon run?" And Mike Gerber said, 4.52, coach. And I didn't want to let him know that I heard that. I was still focused. I still had to run another 40. But I remember, if you know Coach Ogeron, he has this Louisiana voice, and he talks like, "Morlon, let me tell you something, Morlon." That's how he talks. And he was like, so he said, "Morlon, you run a 4.52 your senior year. You know what that spells?" And I'm like, "Well, what, coach?" He said, "It spells NFL." You were just talking about like if I was able to do that, and that was the first time I know that I think I might have a shot here. That's when that opened that thought process of I had that opportunity. I didn't know that. I didn't know the talents that I possess. But you have coaches like that and people along the way telling you different things to help you to just keep going. You're heading in the right direction. Those little things help me along the path of, oh yeah, you know what? Oh, all right. Let me just keep on working. Yeah.
Hey, so before we go on to what you're doing today, because it's so significant how you've used all this, one of the messages that I want everyone to really recognize too, there's a lot of messages here, but one that I really love that I think that anyone on this call can relate to, so often we don't even know our true gift. He did not know how good he was. He was just doing it. He had a passion, he had a dream, but didn't even understand that he was already one of the best. I've seen that happen a lot of times with those that I'm working with that are clients. They don't even get how significant they are. And each and every one of you, if you start feeling like, you know what, even though I'm going through challenges, even though my leg is up and I'm watching the other guys do it and I don't get a chance to, so, maybe you don't have your leg up, but when
No,
you
yeah,
start
I did.
the course with
Yeah.
your passion and your purpose, it's amazing where you end up. I mean, I know for myself, I played professional tennis. I wasn't one of the top players. I had a world ranking, but I wasn't one of the top. So I always looked at myself as a failure. And that's not going to propel you to anything. I had to get over that and go, you know what? How many people on the planet get world rankings? How many people have beaten the number one team, winning a doubles tournament and beating the number one team in the world? But I just couldn't see it because I was caught up that I wasn't good enough. And once you get back and go, you know what? That's an amazing accomplishment. And so what I hear from Marlon, not Morlon, is that he didn't even know, but he kept the course going. He had such a strong passion to fulfill this dream that he kept going, even with self-doubt, even with nerves coming into the first game against Tom Brady of all players. Did you sack him that day?
No, I didn't. I didn't sack him. I didn't. You know what? Normally to get a sack, coach would have to call a blitz, and I only blitzed on the first play, and I didn't know why. Because I was like, don't we want to kind of, instead of blitzing, doing an all-out blitz, let's see what type of plays they're running first before we start blitzing. And he called the blitz, and I made the first tackle. It was a running play. It was against Antoine Smith. And once I made that tackle, I felt like, all right, I can do this, right? But Coach Bates did that for me. He called that blitz because he knew I didn't play. I haven't played a game before. Let's get him going fast. Let's not have him thinking about anything. Just call the blitz and just go. Don't let him read, and that really helped me. I didn't realize what he did for me until like I was in Houston, and it was D'Amico Ryans. He was the rookie linebacker coming in. He was our middle linebacker, and that's what the coach did for him. And when he blitzed, he made the first tackle as well, and it just all clicked to me. I was like, that's what the coach did for me. He was a rookie. He was new to the scene. Get him going.
There's another story, and I saw Paige just posted it, having a good coach, in life. And that's the key. When we have coaches that can helps us see opportunities and propel us into opportunities that we might not have any clue, we're just kind of here. But then if you trust in a good coach, it's amazing what can happen. I know I say that because I believe so much in coaching, because that's what I do for a living, but it makes all the differences. I see it over and over again, and most people don't even realize how important that is. And so you recognizing that, you're probably an amazing coach to so many youth, even probably more impact than you even realize that you're having. So I do want to shift into what you're doing now. I do see that there's already questions. Maybe before we shift into what you're doing now, there was a question about, let's see, how old were you then when you finally fulfilled that part of your dream? Now, it didn't mean that you don't have more dreams to move on, but $22 million does help even a family of 7.
Well, 7 brothers and 4 sisters. So it was 11 brothers. Yeah. But I was 26 years old. That's when that happened. I was 22 when I got drafted, and 4 years in Miami. And when I turned 26, that's when that happened for me. And so, that's why I mentioned that at 21 years, when I was 5 years old and plus 21, 26, and that's how long it took me to accomplish that. I mean, I started younger than a lot of people, so it was a lot longer, and it was on my brain for a long time. But I also think about if that didn't happen, I didn't get that direction, would I have been so serious or so focused on helping my family? It's almost, I always think about it because I always think about how can I be able to help other people that don't hear a direction. How do you figure out what you're going to do? And one of the three things I always tell them is first they have to figure out what they want to do in their hearts. What their passion is, what do they love, what can they do, what would they do for free, and then figure out what would you do for free if you had all the resources in the world, and then you figure out how to accomplish it and how to be able to make a living from it to be successful, and then the third step is, and this is where I mentioned that a lot of people fail, is put in the work. Talk about that consistency, doing it every day, showing up every day, doing it every day, waking up. How many days I have to get up in the morning and go to practice all them years. And there were people that played a lot longer than I did. I'm talking way back in high school. I'm coaching some of the high school kids now, and they have 6 o'clock in the morning practice, and they all got to be there. Think about the dedication and the commitment and the hard work that they are putting in to try and have a chance to be able to further their goals and dreams. So.
Yeah, and it's just like, again, it applies to work too, because I get a chance to work with a lot of great athletes, but I get to work with a lot of great entrepreneurs and also executives of companies. And it's no different if you apply yourself and just know it. I always ask the question, how important is it to you? Your actions will tell you how important it is to you more than your words will, because some have spoken something, but they don't take the action behind it. You took the action behind it. Even with the banged up foot, even with the sewing needle in your foot. The good news is if we're ever out somewhere and I need a needle, I know where to get it. But
I got that one. Always got a needle for you right now.
Tell me a little bit about, just because we are nearing the end of this, and I have a football here that it says MG52, the Marlon Greenwood Foundation. I have it right here.
I look at it,
next to my helmet.
Right? I know. Trust me.
Next to my helmet that has all the Kansas City Chiefs signed just before the Super Bowl. So I have this as where you can go, not only win a Super Bowl, but what impact can you have in the world? So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started the foundation in 2015. After I finished playing football, I also played in the UFL for 3 years, United Football League up in Omaha. I started up there, so about 11 years professional. I also did boxing for a year while I was playing up there in Omaha. I have a record of 3-0 and 3 KOs. Remember, do your best at any contest, and God will do the rest. Also do a little bit of acting. I started doing some acting before I started the foundation, and I'm end up in a movie with Snoop Dogg that I did. A small part, but like I always say, it's not where you start, where you finish. But I just decided to focus fully on the foundation and stuff, because I was driving a lot back and forth from Las Vegas to California for those auditions, and I was like, let me just focus on the foundation, and then everything else that I want will come to me. Focus on the youth, and everything will come. So I started in 2015 because I was that youth coming up looking for guidance and leadership. We talk about coaches and also our foundation, the leadership and mentorship program, because mentor is very important to have. My first mentor was my father. He told me, do your best at any contest and God will do the rest. Whenever I needed guidance and direction, he was always there. My second mentor was my high school coach, who saw something in me I didn't see in myself. He knew that I would be a good football player. You know what he told me? He said, Marlon, you're never going to get anywhere in America playing soccer. That was back in 1994 when soccer wasn't as big as it is today. And I was like, and I remember I said that in the newspaper that, Coach Sullen told me I would not, when I got the scholarship, Coach Sullen told me I would not get anywhere in America playing soccer. That's how naive I was. I didn't know the whole people was going to read that. Coach Sullen was like, Marlon, you didn't have to say that in the paper, I said no. I was just being I was just being honest when we talk about the reporter. But he was my second mentor, Coach Sellen. And you talk about all the different coaches that have. Coach Chetty in high school, Chris Edmonds in wrestling. He was a national champion. He used to come down for Tennessee. He used to come down to the weight room, come down to the wrestling room, and I used to wrestle against him. Never won at all, but it made me better, right? Because he was at a higher level. In order to get better, you have to go against people that are more that are better than you, so that you can improve. So that's what I did when I went up to college. Coach Paul Pasqualoni. I talk about Ed Ogeron, who recruited me. All these guys, and Johnny Holland, that my linebacker coach at Houston, Bob Sanders, the linebacker coach in Miami, Jim Bates, the defensive coordinator that drafted me, that I heard that he jumped up on the table and said that if you don't draft this guy right now, he's gonna be gone. I remember all of those things, and Dave Wanstead giving me the recommendation when I was going over to Houston, telling them how of a student I was in the game, in the classroom. After everybody leaves, it was me and Zach Thomas there watching film just to get better. So that those things made me appreciate all the things, and ultimately that helped me to fulfill my childhood dream. So I wanted to offer that for the youth. So we do free football camps for the kids. We started out football as a way to bring them in. Football, but to teach them about the importance of education and staying on the right path, and about hard work, discipline, overcoming adversity, and letting them know it's not going to be an overnight thing, right? It's not going to happen like that 2-minute YouTube video. You see someone who go on there and talk, oh yeah, you just got to do this, and that, and that's it. No, it's going to take years for you to do it. You got to do it consistently, over and over and over and over again. Nothing comes easy. Easy come, easy go. You have to spend some time with it so it lasts forever, because of the time that you've put into it, and you are not going to allow anything to kind of take this away from you because of the effort and the time and dedication that you put into accomplishing your goal. So we've been doing that since then. We've now, to the part now where we want to put a facility in place for the youth. We're working on putting a 400,000 square foot facility here in Las Vegas that's going to have 3 hours of education and 3 hours of athletics, with multi-sports, all the wraparound services. We talk about mental health, behavioral health, tutoring classes, trade school, entrepreneurship classes, leadership classes, financial literacy, workforce training, to basically teach the kids about, because kids don't know what they don't know. So we try to give them exposed to as many things as possible, so they can realize what they want to do, what their passion is, so they can ultimately reach their full potential. So that's what we're currently doing, and the goal is to put these facilities all across the United States, so we can have a place where kids, a safe haven for the kids to go to, that don't really have any. Not every kid have fathers in the home, and that's one of the things that I also learned as well. I was fortunate to have my father, but I always, when I'm coaching these kids, I feel a lot of them don't have a father or a mother, or to be able to be a source of guidance to them. And sometimes the parents they didn't have that type of guidance themselves. So it's kind of like what they know is kind of like, sometimes it's kind of holding the kids back a little bit. So we just want to be a place where we can be able to elevate these youth to be able to accomplish their goals and dreams, be successful.
You're amazing. Absolutely amazing. Your passion started at childhood on beaches in Jamaica, and look where you are today and what you're doing. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you, Morlon. Your story is powerful. And I'm going to turn it back over to the lovely Paige. But Larson, I see your messages. It's just a matter of timing. We're working towards this, right? And so I know you've reached out to me, and I will do my best to keep helping that. And it's just a matter of, as you know, with worldwide and all that, it's timing is everything. But thanks you for bringing it up, Larson. Thank you for being on. So Paige, bring us back.
Oh my gosh, my face hurts from smiling. That was so good. And I feel I was crying, I was laughing, I was just like so loving this. And what an example of just having a huge why from such a young age and what that can give. I know in our world, there's so much talk about find your why, but what an inspiring story of a child that got his why at a young age and then what you were able to do with it. And now once you met that why, it wasn't just like a lot of times people have big goals and then they reach it and they kind of feel empty, but it was just you've gone on to reach so many more levels of success. And I also really love your example of being excellent in every area of your life, and that quote of do your best in every contest and let God do the rest. Is that it?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
So good. It's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So I want everyone to type in your takeaways and gratitudes in the chat. And we want to hear some of your questions. And before we do, though, I want to just announce that in 2 weeks, we're going to do another one of these with Ben Zobrist, who is a two-time World Series champion of the MLB. He was a baseball star. He won the World Series, broke the 108-year championship drought for the Cubs with his second inning hit that won the game. I mean, he's just an incredible athlete, and we're really excited.
10th inning hit in the 7th game of the World Series.
Say it again. Say it again.
10th inning hit in the 7th game of the World Series.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
That wasn't the only reason he was MVP. We'll learn a lot about him too, but yes, remarkable. And to hear his story, just as Marlon and
Yeah.
all
So
the ones
definitely sign up for that. I put in the registration there. Spread the word. We just want people to get in on these and to experience and see the stories. Our brains work in stories and pictures, and we can learn so much from the stories of people who have reached incredible levels of success, and just like we did today with Marlon. So we also have on the August 22nd, we have Kevin Guest, who is the CEO of USANA. He has a $20 billion global health and wellness company. And he's going to be coming on. He's a true Renaissance man. He's played with Colin Ray's band and done all sorts of things as well. Another example of what it takes to reach excellence and then do that in several areas of life. And so we have all these Renaissance men on, and it's really exciting. So definitely sign up and stay in tune. You'll get emails about these as well. So just check your email for emails from us. And the second thing I wanted to let you know about is that the first time in 6 years, Dave is offering us a coaching certification called Extreme Focus Coaching. And we'll put the link in for that so you can learn more about that. But it's an incredible opportunity if you are wanting to take your coaching to the next level, if you want to learn from Dave and coach Olympic athletes or just people that are at the top level of their game, become a 1%er yourself and help your clients really get into that 1% themselves. So they're coaching techniques that really work, make a huge difference. And we're starting that in October, but there's 6 days left that you can get 50% on the coaching program. It's a 6-month course. So we have a 3-day in-person event at Dave's estate in Utah. And that's going to be incredible. So much fun for everyone to come together, meet each other, and meet a lot of the extreme focus coaches that have been doing this for the last 6 years and have been applying all of these things. So we're going to just have an incredible group of people there at that 3-day event. And then over 6 months, we're going to be meeting every week. You're going to be learning from Dave. You're going to be doing an online certification trainings. And then at the end, we have another 3-day graduation in person. It's just going to be absolutely amazing. So we definitely want you to know about that, to reach out to me if you have any questions at all about that. I'm going to put my contact information in. you can schedule a time to talk or send me a message. And yeah, we'll put, this is the information for the certification. So back to Marlon and Dave. Any questions that, I know there's a few questions that people have been kind of throwing in. So if you can put up your hand, or we can see in the chat if there were any questions. Larson Elmore, go ahead. I know you have a question.
On the certification and this, is it a course or is it all done on online? And then also the event, do you charge for that? Is that open to any business person or any person, what is the audience for that?
Fantastic. So it's the entire program is a coaching certification program. So it includes the 2 live events that are on each end. October 11th and April 11th are the 2 beginning and end 3-day events. And then in between, you'll get a workbook, you'll get materials, you'll get online course stuff, but we're going to meet every single week live.
Online. We meet online.
Online.
Yeah.
Online.
You know,
Yeah,
so, and there is a cost, and, you know, and you do have to apply for it. What Paige is doing is there's an application process, and then she interviews you, and you don't have to be like, well, I want to be a coach, but maybe you just want to be able to run your business at a higher level. And I have so many executives that I've been blessed to work with that have done that. So it's the principles, but the truth is also you have the ability not only to use these principles to coach others like Marlon's doing with young athletes, but your family and things. They're just really sound principles of life. So every week we'll have a call, but you also get, like, as space as a workbook and everything, but it starts with 3 days together. So that I feel that that's a powerful way to learn, because I'll have other certified coaches. I haven't done it in 6 years, but we did it before that, so that they're very experienced in coaching themselves. You'll meet them, find out what they're doing. Some of them are working with the Olympic team right now. I've been blessed to be able to take what I've learned and give people that are amazing the opportunity to do the same. And so it's an application process. You just check in with Paige, and that's where you start it from. And then you'll see whether it's appropriate or not. It might be, and it might not be. But
is it all sports oriented, or is it generic about basically self-help, doing better? Is that what it's about?
It's both. You know, it's because we use sports because I'm so involved in sports, but now 50% of my clientele are business owners, executives, executive teams. So it's just a blend. The concepts work in every aspect of life.
Right.
Marlon said how he approached the game is how he approaches life. So he uses everything that he's done in every aspect of his life. That sounds easy, but it really isn't sometimes. We do one thing really well, but we don't apply it here. This course gets you to apply it everywhere. I have an executive that went through it that said this went way beyond his master's degree in business. He learned more in this process than he did, because it works on how to use your mind to be able to expand more and learn more and grow more. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly expanding.
Well, I would love to sign up for that. That sound self-help and seminars. Many people attend, but to pick up some nuggets could be life-changing. You know, just an idea or two.
Well, it's very important that it goes beyond just a motivational thing that, oh, that's great, and then you go back home and go, oh, yeah. What was it? It's tools, like having a toolkit that you constantly go back to, because like Marlon said, it's every day to be something that, you know, what Paige said, a 1%er in what you do. There's a dedication involved in it, and then you got to have that dedication and action, and then have the tools that you use on a daily basis. So that's great. Any other, you know, I'm going to go back to Paige. Any other questions also to Marlon about some of the things? I love what I think it was, I'll look up here, Robert, what you said I love it that you said keeping it simple. You want to add to that? Open up your mic and add to it. It's a great, you know.
But I wanted to ask Marlon, as a fellow Jamaican, coming up in that culture, there were a couple of things like you don't want to draw a bad eye, and fellow sufferers, you have to keep yourself small. You don't want to draw any attention to yourself. Did you have those like negative viral things going through your life culturally coming up into the States, or was it different for you?
No, you know, I was born, I speak American, I'm in the fifth age start Jamaican, so, but, but, I was born in, on Warwick Hill in Jamaica. That's in Kingston. That's like a really, really bad, area. So it's almost was like, I didn't experience any type of thing like that because I wasn't in an affluent type of setting growing up. So they weren't looking at me like look at him. He's in a better situation than I am. I was actually in a similar setting. When we came to America, it was more middle class. Cause my father had set up a foundation for us to be able to provide for all of us, but never experienced that. Or you know what? Maybe after when you sign the contract and start meeting
I'm sorry.
as far as maybe after the contract and stuff, it's a bobo, yeah. Maybe after the contract, you can, maybe that's when it started because and it's just a little bit because I really I had bought a Lamborghini because it was my childhood dream to get a Lamborghini. Quick story. When I came to America, I'm telling you, when I came to, and I'm gonna tell you this quick, show you how things can happen. So I'm glad you even asked the question because this was a very important part too. When I first came to America and first saw my father took us to Toys R Us. I bought this little Lamborghini. I didn't even know it was, I thought it was just a toy car that someone created. But mine was the fastest, and I was like, man, I really like this little toy Tyco car, Tyco. And I used to play around with it. And fast forward a couple of years, when I was in the 8th grade, I was watching this movie. Then I saw the Lamborghini on TV, and I was like, this is a real car, right? And that's when I would start. Then that's when it opened up and be like, I'm gonna get that car one day, And I remember when I got drafted and when I signed with Houston and I was able to get the Lamborghini, and it was something that I wanted to do because it's something as a child that I wanted to get. And it just goes to show that as far as you being able to that came about because of that was also another one of the driving force that said whenever I make it, I'm gonna treat myself to that, and it just so happened that it did. But growing up, it wasn't any type of I don't think I had any people that kind of have the but in Jamaica they call it red eye. Like the red eye, they have the red eye on you, or they want to wish you bad because the old crab in a barrel mentality, because but my father was always good to a lot of people. One thing we didn't talk about was the obstacles and how to overcome them. One of them was my midfoot, and and you just, no matter how you feel in a bad time of a setback, you always have to keep yourself in a positive mind frame. That's why I mentioned the part when my father told me, when I told my father, oh, it's going to be good in 2 weeks. And in his mind, he was like, no, it's not going to be 2 weeks. But in my mind, this thing is going to heal in 2 weeks, even though it didn't take 2 weeks, but you have to remain in that positive mindset. We're all a human beings and we go through those emotions, but we have to always reset and refocus and get back on track, right? On your mind. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer sometimes for it to get back to where you want it to, but as long as you stay in that same mindset and have that belief, you will. The other time was when my father passed away in 2014. You know, I talk about my father all the time. That was a very, very difficult time for me. And you know, everything that I've always worked for is to be able to show him how great of a man he is, or he was, because he sacrificed his life for us. As far as he was very talented in sports, he was a talented mechanic. He was a jack of all trades. I know that's where I got to get my talent from, to be able to do so many things. But he didn't graduate high school, but he was a very smart guy. You know, he worked for the Water Commission for the government in Jamaica, and he was an entrepreneur. He also a carpenter, built houses. The only thing he didn't mess with was electricity, because he said, "I don't want to get electrocuted," you know. But he did everything, and I wanted to show him that he, you know, through me, these are all the things that you could have accomplished. But I knew you could have did it, but God, you sacrificed for us to be able to take care of us, you know. So when he passed away, it was really, you know, you ask why, you know, and you just had to be able to know that the spirit lives on forever, even though the body dies. The spirit lives on forever, and you got to know that he's in a better place and looking, and be able to still looking over you. But now he can do it more easily, because you know he's in the spirit realm, not in the physical realm. So that's how I was able to deal with it, and also to remember about all the teachings that he has taught. Like whenever you get to a point when you want to, you're feeling down, you think of what your father would have said, or what your coach would have said. Like one of the things that always pop up to what one of my coaches say is, whenever things get tough, he said, "Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Tough times don't last, but tough people do." So whenever things get tough, and you go through different obstacles and things in your life, you just have to. That's one of the things that I always think about and just remember. And I remember, you know, the practicing and going through college, and you know, getting hurt, getting over that, and during the wrestling season, and winning the state championship. All these different examples that I have to kind of bring me back, to let me know that you went through that before, and that was tough for you at the time, right? And you accomplished that, because as you get older and older, what was tough seemed like what was tough when you were younger. When you're older, be like, that didn't seem like that tough. But yeah, when you were going through it at the time, it was really tough, because that was the time when you were going through it at that age. Now that you've grown and you've developed, it's not so tough anymore. But it was the toughest thing you had to do at that time. Then another level, it becomes another tough thing, and then you break through that level and keep on going up and going up. But to remind yourself of all the things that you've accomplished and what you've gone through, just let you give you the motivation to push through on the next challenge that you have in your life.
Well,
I gotta
fantastic,
say,
man.
to answer your the question you asked earlier, Dave, if there's a bunch of things I'm taking away, but there is this. Marlon seems to have this ability to see something, know what he wants, and it's almost like he puts it into his intentional, manifestational, essence, and then it happens. And there is a simplicity to it, almost an innocence to it. It's like, oh, this is nice, boom, and then boom, it comes out, and that's just something that's so beautiful. Seeing things from my side, where I have a lot of noise, a lot of distractions, a lot of complications that get in the way. Just seeing how you use your focus and your discipline and simplicity as a form of power. Mwah, beautiful thing. Thank you for
Awesome.
showing me
I
that.
so agree with you.
Thank you.
Some of the things that I accomplished, it was before I knew better. We were skiing this winter, and I had a couple football NFL coach and the coach for University of Utah. And one of them said, "How have you been so successful in all these areas of your life?" And my son, Chase, who's now 28, goes, "Because he's ignorant." I went, "What?" They all go, what? Because he just didn't know he couldn't do it. I'd never heard it expressed that way.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
All right. Well, Paige, always
Well,
sparkling.
thank you so much. This has just been amazing. Appreciate all of you being on. Again, the early bird special for the certification ends in 6 days, so definitely reach out if you are interested at all. Just applying, it costs nothing, but it can just
Costs
give you
nothing to apply.
the application doesn't cost anything, and then you can reach out and ask any questions. So we're here to help, and if you have any questions just about Dave's work, about what Morlon's up to, reach out. We can connect. But thank you again for being on, and Morlon, you're just so wonderful. It's been such a treat to have you here today. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Everyone. See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
right.
see you in 2 weeks again.
Hopefully you'll talk to this young woman here before then, get more information.
With
Thank you.
Larson? Yeah, we're in touch. We're in touch. We're good. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.